Drop everything and clear those ears. It's time for the Dave and Dave Show.
Dave and Dave's on air. Dave Reno, what's going on?
New Jersey Dave, what do you say? What do you know? I feel like I'm walking down the street. You're looking a little northwest there with your outfit.
I decided to go a little grunge. You're out there with the grunge group. Felt I'd go a little grunge, but we got a little soccer. We got some soccer clothing going on here that might not be all that evident, but.
Can you give me a little venire, yeah. Come le va?
Venezia, the bums, they
Bene.
tied.
What's going on in Serie A?
Serie A is, it appears that Inter Milan is flexing their muscles here a little bit lately. The two Milan teams are playing in the Supercoppa final, which is going to be on Monday. I did not make a pick on that game.
I said, well, you hit some monster parlays. I know you were chewing your nails over Crystal Palace in the extra time.
They got it. They got it.
Did well in the last hour. You knocked off a couple of nice parlays over across the pond. Very nice.
Yeah, I wish we had those on the show for the folks there. But anyway, it's sort of last minute little compilations of teams here yesterday and today. Worked out pretty nicely. I think we should talk now. I don't know if we should do pro football at all, but anyway.
There's a popular league around this
commercial game in town now.
Pretty good.
College is almost over right now. There's the last.
Well, do you have anything for kickball? Before
looking at one for tomorrow.
Okay.
Serie A. The battle for Rome. The battle for Rome is between an underachieving and they're not anywhere near the top of the table. Roma playing at home. Well, they're playing the same stadium, but anyway, it's the big battle for Rome between Roma and Lazio. And I'm just looking at that as a game, Roma playing for pride, Lazio playing pretty well this season, except for they got smoked recently by Inter. 6-0. I mean, that wasn't even a game, but Lazio is right up there at the top of the table. Roma's about right in the middle.
Let's see that.
But this is they can throw the records out the window when they get together in the what they call a derby in England. But this is the battle for the city itself between Lazio.
Oh, is that
and I'm looking at it being a tightly contested, low-scoring game. A draw plus 215 is the pick on Roma.
Is that played at a neutral site?
No, they just both happen to play in the same stadium. They share it like the Jets and the Giants.
Oh, that works out because a lot of the crowd.
It's the stadium they built for the Olympics.
Is it true that in order to win like a championship in some of these leagues, that you play one game at home and then you play one game away, and it's the score and
oh yeah, they do the home and home for promotion and relegation. Yeah, they do that all the time. And then in the European competitions, oftentimes it's when they're playing, they play one game home, one game on the road, and then
Champions League
ends up being goal differential. If one team wins one team wins the other game. One team won the game by 2 goals, the other team only won by 1. The team that won by 2 goals gets the pass. But they give them
the same
every team to time up, whatnot.
Right. I know that. Same in Champions League?
Yes.
Okay. What are you drinking there? Nice beer?
Unofficial sponsor of the Dave and Dave Show.
The Centennial.
Founders Centennial. This is far and away the best deal in a liquor store. If you like this stuff, it's just, there's nothing else even comes close. It's just such a good deal. Comes in the land about to be about $1 a piece. You buy them in a liquor store, about $1. Go to a bar, they'll charge you $10. Anyway, $1 a piece at the liquor store.
All right, so well noted for kickball, and you're doing quite well. You're on the upswing, so take note. Dave's heating up. Jersey Coast Dave heating up on the
Not last week. Yeah, we lost that one last week. The under 2.5. They scored.
We're going forward in kickball.
Yeah, they scored at the buzzer in that game last week to blow that under. That one hurt. But anyway, college football. We came back. We absolutely kicking butt on college. So let's turn to college football. I only looked at the 2 playoff. Well, that's all that's left. So the 2 playoff games coming up, and one of them, I actually can't even make a pick on the game. It just looks too obvious. So anyway, why don't you go ahead and tell me who you like in these CFP semifinals?
Well, hey, I've been cashing in pizzas. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be, on the treadmill with a couple slices in my hand. I beat you on a couple pizzas. But the latest game where you humbled me and I had to pass over a pizza was at Boise State. That was my only loss, 3-1. You went 4-0. In college, I went 3-1. And Boise State taught me a lot of things about Penn State. I think this team is playing the best out of the 4 teams right now. You could say what you want about, Boise State giving the ball away. The quarterback was incredibly generous, but the defense forced them into those turnovers. They seem to be playing the best ball fundamentally. You can say that they've played lesser teams, but I'm really convinced that is the team to watch. If you're going to take a future bet on the 4, I know you're going to get the best odds. If you could check that for me, Dave, what they're offering.
To it for what?
Yeah, who's got?
Oh, you mean I'll win?
Yeah, I'm sure Penn State is
Then write it down.
the longest shot. Yeah, but anyway, I'll look at while you're talking. You're getting +2, and I think if you want to wait, you're going to get more. More of the money is coming in on Notre Dame. Penn State +2. They're playing the best ball fundamentally, defense and offense. That quarterback is clicking, and he's way under the radar. Nobody knows him.
Well, I'm all on with showing 1.5 on DraftKings, but
Yeah. Well, it's going to 2 in Hard Rock Bet, and I'm sure that's the direction it's going. You're going to see more Notre Dame money, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion.
it's a little bit Notre Dame right now. It's like it's about 60-40.
Yeah, still very early on that, but I like the Nittany Lions for everything that I said. You're just playing fundamentally on both sides of the ball and special teams. They're punting and punt coverage, eliminating the big play, and then their secondary is playing really well. So I like the Nittany Lions. I know you've been on them all along. All right, I'm in the fold. Which way you going on that game?
Well, there'll be no pizza at stake in that one. I thought maybe you were going to go Irish, being who you are, where you're from. No Irish pick for you, huh? No Shamrocks?
Hey, my roots.
Couple Shamrocks coming out. Well, the other night when we hit that, we had all 3 on the.
Well, what about that game? I know you had Notre Dame. You nailed Notre Dame.
Yeah, they were on the end of it. We had. I saw 4 in the with 2 stupid bowl games in there with the 4-0 on D&D last week, but also the 4 playoff games. Yeah, I had the right side of all 4 of those.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and they ended up moving the Sugar Bowl back. Our thoughts go out to the people in New Orleans. Hopefully, everybody's going to get through this. That's just a screwed up situation, screwed up that game, screwed up, a lot.
The whole vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, just really.
I mean, the support.
Excited about it.
Yeah.
And then
We'll keep this on to football, but you're right. Our love and support and our prayers, especially for the families. And but let's gear this toward football right now.
Yeah, we gotta take a look at this. Yeah, I'm going Penn State here. I do have some reservations, things that I talked about with Penn State all year long. They have a tendency to beat up on the weak sisters. Now, obviously, not playing any weak sisters these days, but they always play well in the Big Ten. Last half a dozen years. With Franklin as the coach. And then when they play Michigan and Ohio State, they come up short. Every year they come up short. They came up short this year against Ohio State. That's looming as potentially a final if they can win this game. I'm just hoping they don't look at Notre Dame the same way they look at Michigan and Ohio State, because for some reason they can't figure those teams out. So that's my only reservation here. I do feel like they're the better team. I really love the balance. Penn State running the ball, throwing the ball, and playing really terrific defense. I know everybody's going gaga over Ohio State's defense right now, but Penn State's defense looks to be, the best to me right now. It's going to be a challenge. Notre Dame definitely has some star players on both sides of the ball. Missing that big defensive lineman for Notre Dame, I think, is going to be huge in this game. And I think Penn State's going to take advantage of that. So I'm with you on that. Penn State over Notre Dame. Right now, I'm only getting 1.5. You like them in this game? I think you probably have to maybe do a little something with what you're talking about, a little futures bet as far as winning the whole thing, because they're the best price. You get the best odds on them. So,
yeah, I'm going to look at it. We're probably going to. What is that? Next Thursday, right? I believe it's next Thursday.
And then the other game's on Friday.
Right. So we'll have a show before that, and we're going to modify.
And we'll talk about it some more. We just wanted to get this in. Yeah, we don't have anything else to talk.
Our saving grace, college football, which we've been killing lately.
I have to say, Dave and Dave, we don't do much patting on the back, but we're crushing college football. And I have to say, this is a little prelude, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot there, Mr. Venezia. You're doing well in college basketball. So, a little prelude.
Had a few last night. Got something going right now, as a matter of fact, but I don't want to jinx it. Right. No.
Well, no, we won't. We won't put the kibashi. All right.
What do you think about the other game?
Arizona State dominated Texas. 510 total yards, 29 first downs, time of possession, at least I think it was 15 minutes more, something like that. And they lost in overtime. They had that game. It was theirs to win. Yeah, they came out of the blocks terrible, 17-3 at halftime. But that was Arizona State, not taking nothing away from that team, but Texas has its flaws. Getting 6 points, in a semifinal, I'm going to lay the 6. I'm hoping it ticks down to 5.5. I'm hoping to get that little half a point. Like you said, it looks too obvious. I don't know what the betting percentages are right now. I know you're going to tell me, but I'm going to stick with the Big Ten. I'm a believer now. You've been saying it all along. You have. I have to, I've gone against you a couple times and paid for it with bread and cheese. But I'm going with the Buckeyes. They crushed. You were all over them last week. You had them in a parlay as well. I didn't think they were going to win by that much. But fundamentally, they're playing well. This coach's back was against the wall. They had the noose firmly around his neck, like hang him high. But they didn't hang him.
Now they're talking like he's a lock to win it all.
Exactly. Yeah, of course. Normally, I was just about to say, but they say the same thing about Scarsese. Oh, he's this, oh, he's that. But I'll tell you what, his kids lost focus. They should have lost that game. The second half told a lot. They only scored 7 points in the second half, nothing in the third quarter. Their run defense was exposed. Of course, nobody's got a Scatabo, but they've got some, Ohio State's
got some horses. And they've got 2 good backs. Exactly. I think the second guy, Henderson's better than Judkin. I really do. But I do think it's kind of almost like they throw the speed. I think Judkin's the number 1 back, is more of the speed guy and more of the guy that I would use as the change of pace. And I would go with Henderson on a more of a down-to-down basis. He's a beast. And, they couldn't handle Scatabo. They're going to have a hard time handling these guys, too. I think that revealed a lot about Texas's defense. Yeah, in the first half, they looked dominant. And they were really keen on Scatabo. I think one of the things that Arizona State did was they started to spread the ball around a little bit. They started to show that they could pick up yards in other ways, and that opened it up for the back to just go wild. It was a really sort of not strange, because we see it all the time, especially in college football, a tale of two halves. That first half, Texas looked dominant. I was afraid they were just going to blow.
Sent me a message, men to boys. And then you put down two halves with question mark. Dang.
But then, wow. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I thought Arizona State deserved to win the game. All they needed was a stop on that 1 4th down play in overtime, and then we'd be talking about them right now instead of what the hell they're going to do against Ohio State as opposed to Texas. This game just looks too freaking obvious. All the betting is on Ohio State. I'm just scared. I just decided to make a pick on it. I'm not going to make a contrarian pick and take Texas. I'm going to make a contrarian pick and take under 53.5, which for these two teams, I think is kind of a low total. So maybe they're telling you something there. Maybe Texas plays this game a little bit more like their Texas A&M game. It was a very low-scoring game. Maybe Ohio State plays this a little bit more, or maybe they don't play well like they did against Michigan. And it's not the shootout that a lot of people are maybe anticipating.
Well, that's really interesting. That's an interesting pick because I think, like you always say, people remember what they see, the recent, and they saw this 39-31 at a lot of state.
Lots of points.
38-24.
I mean, even the Ohio State-Oregon game, I mean, so that one too.
Yeah. But just page back a little bit, Georgia 22-19, Texas A&M 17-7, Kentucky 31-14, Arkansas 20-10. These are all under that total. And I don't think Texas has played a tough defense. Their Ohio State's secondary is not the Arizona State secondary.
They're less better than those SEC teams, too. You don't seem to be able to stop anybody.
And say what you want about
rolling in the SEC this year, it was forget it. It's like the only team that can stop them is themselves. They would shoot themselves in the foot. Other than that, they're scoring a touchdown. Not a lot of real high-powered defense. I mean, they're talking about the game the other night with Mississippi. Mississippi could legitimately say they had the best defense in the SEC this year, even though they had a couple games where they got, gave up a ton. But nobody was what they used. I mean, Alabama's defense was nothing like what they normally are. And Georgia's defense, the other day sort of showed not anywhere near as dominant as some of the best SEC defenses that we've done.
Yeah.
Anyway, and it looks to me, and that's one of the reasons why I've kind of like faded and looked to the Big Ten to be the top conference this year, is because I do think all these top teams, even Michigan, has a good defense. And then even we saw Minnesota. So that they played last night. Minnesota had a good defense. Ohio State obviously has some defense. Just across the board, I'm still not really counting Oregon as a Big Ten team, but better defense conference. I think they're kind of showing it in the bowl games. And
yeah, where's all this SEC? Paul Feinbaum is crying in his soup. I still think Georgia's the top team. I still think that Alabama should have been in it. Hello, Paul. Pick you up. You've been kissing.
That is crazy. That is right now. Not that the result of a game is the final answer, but I would have to ask that person: Are you watching these games?
Yeah,
because these SEC teams, Mississippi thought they should have been in it. No, you lost 3 games. I'm sorry, you lost 3 games, and your conference wasn't even all that good this year. I mean, look at LSU started off the season; they lost to SC, and then SC turned around and
teams. Yeah, sorry, cut you off. Look at the Big Ten teams and their opt-outs. I don't see too many. At least, the top players in Ohio State and Penn State, I don't see those guys opting out. I mean, I think those coaches have given these guys direction toward winning something important, and not just the Rose Bowl and the Peach Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. They want a national title and be a part of that experience. And I think those 2 teams are the most focused right now.
Yeah, this whole thing with the, and they've always bailed out of bowl games because of their draft status and everything. And I know they're thinking about their future and everything, but I also think it shows some courage, and so shows some loyalty, and it shows some commitment to winning something important, that it's not just all about what kind of contract you're going to get, where you're going to get drafted. that you have the ability to go up against a big challenge, against a good team, and maybe even somebody right on the other side of the ball from you who's a good player and win. Show me that. I'll go with a winner before I'll go with an athletic talent any day of the week, and your team will be better for it. All right,
call. That's a good call. Just talk to that's the same thinking as the Denver Bronco coach when he went with the quarterback that he decided was going to be Bo Nix. He went with a winner. He went with a guy who would grit and would never bail out. Yeah. Yep.
And he's really ability than I thought he had. Really, I mean, I know he was a talented college quarterback, but I didn't see him being this good in the pros this early. And then even watching some of the early games in the season, where it was shaky. It was shaky.
Definitely,
they stood by him. They're going with him. They were riding their defense at the beginning of the year. Now Denver looks like their defense isn't playing nearly as well as they were at the beginning of the year, and they're depending on their offense to get them some points.
Yeah, he's getting it. He's clicking. For that team to be playoff bound, which is still a question mark, I guess. But
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Going back, that's the philosophy that we're taking in these picks going forward. And I think that's why you got to do your homework with this NIL, who's playing, who's not. That person, that's not, is he relevant? Is he not? I mean, it's a pain in the ass. But, our picks are with people that want to win. And, these two programs seem to, have these kids focused. So Penn State, Ohio State, old Big Ten, let's go.
On to the National Football League. I guess we have no choice. Week 18, last week. I went 2-3 again last week. It seems like every week I get 5 picks and I'm 2-3.
We're the 2-3 kings. I'm with it, and only because Detroit pulled one out of the week 49er Brock Purdy. I think I'll fold in the second half and let the Lions. I had no business winning that game, but I did. I'll take it. And like I said, I got the tomato sauce to prove it. I want you to start us off in the NFL. I think we're doing okay on time.
I got to start. All right. I don't think Tomlin wants Pittsburgh to go into the playoffs with another loss. I just don't think he does. And I think he's going to figure out a way to get it done at home, getting 2.5 points against Cincinnati, a team that really doesn't have any defense. I know you love Joe Burrow and you love your Bengals and everything, but I'm taking the Steelers tonight plus 2.5 against the Bengals. Just because it's tough to just go in on a losing streak into the playoffs.
I agree fundamentally. I just think the Bengals are on a little bit of a roll, bro. And, you got to respect that momentum. They're coming into the game really well. They still got a shot at this crazy playoffs.
I know.
But they have to be, they're the first card played. They're playing tonight. So what happens tonight is going to affect the betting on Sunday for sure. But, I'm sticking with the Bengals. That's a sneaky low. And it's not just because they're not playing players. I don't know how much, Russell Wilson is going to play, but Fields is good. The Bengals have stepped up defensively. I know they're terrible. You and I both know they've made me cry, but not one of my top 5, but I'm taking the Bengals. So we got a pizza on the line, my bro.
They were 4-8 and they've won 4 games in a row, 4-8. The only one I'm really going to give them any kind of credit for is that last one against Denver, because Denver needed that game.
Yeah.
Denver, there were some very curious coaching decisions by Cincinnati in that game. We thought it should have cost them, didn't. I think their players just decided, hey, we're just going to score a touchdown, get out of here. But the first 3 games of that streak, anybody, the Cowboys, the Titans, and the Browns, they won those games. Congratulations. The Bronco game, pretty good. Tonight should be fun. Yeah. Steelers not really playing it for anything other than, I just don't think you want to go into the playoffs on a real downer. I mean, I realize that injuries have been a part of it for them, and it's going to make it really tough for them, I think, to even win one playoff game. But they lose tonight. They go in on speaking of streaks, Bengals are on a 4-game winning streak. Pittsburgh lost their last 3 games. Now, I did not think much of them coming into the season. And when they started to play some of these better teams, I was looking at the other side. Actually, I was looking at the other side in all these games. Eagles, Ravens, and Chiefs. Now, okay, so there's their streak. You got Cincinnati's streak against the little sisters of the poor, practically, except for the Broncos. This losing streak for the Steelers, not exactly embarrassing, other than the fact that they lost by some pretty sizable numbers in every one of those games. I mean, more than double digits. Lost by 14, lost by 17, lost by 19. That's a rough streak.
Yeah, dog night.
Like I said, I know they have very important players hurt. I can't see them going into the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak. So you're on for pizza tonight. All right.
All right. Well, the last game, Steelers-Bengals, 44-38. It was a gangbuster. But, okay, we're going head-to-head pizzas. Your pick. Go ahead, my friend.
All right. My next pick, because nothing has made any sense to me in the NFL. It's all been favorites and popular choices all year, which is a really bad recipe for me. So I'm sticking to my guns on my contrarian. If it doesn't make any sense, you need to take a long look at it. So the one team that makes absolutely zero sense this week has got to be the New Orleans Saints. So I'm taking the New Orleans Saints plus 14 against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay can't absolutely destroy. There's another team. What were they? They were like 4-6 or something.
Right.
And
now they're 9-7.
And now they're punching their ticket to the playoffs. They do look like they have a relatively easy assignment here, but it kind of looks to me like the sort of game, last game of the season, where they win. Maybe they even win comfortably, but they don't win by a ton of points, which they have been doing lately.
Yeah, 14.5. You want them to hang around, just hang around. Yeah, that's a tough one. Get behind the Saints.
Well, I thought maybe you'd be taking your Bucks.
I'm not. I do not have confidence them covering that number.
Maybe we have another pizza on the line. Okay. So now, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to give you any stats about why New Orleans is. It's just because 90% of the people aren't that. Now, that doesn't mean that those bets haven't been coming in this season, especially in the NFL. The other night, Detroit, like 90% of the people were on Detroit, and they ended up winning and covering. So that doesn't mean Tampa can't do it.
NFL, 2004. Gotta love your favorites. Like you say, what are these sports books? Printing money. I hope they're making money on fantasy and whatever else, because
they want to make way 10% on the fantasy.
Because the favorites have been killing. Unbelievable.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to borrow, if you don't mind, your philosophy about going into the playoffs, even though you're already qualified. Don't lose. And that's a Jim Harbaugh philosophy. And also playing in against the Raiders in Las Vegas. Chargers, I got 4.5 minus 4.5. Those are the only 2 favorites that I'm taking out of my 5. Obviously a better team playing a very poor team who, in some ways for me, have already quit, and the Chargers won't. It's a little more than I'd like to lay 4.5, but I think they're a touchdown better in this game. They got good backups. Harbaugh wants to win this game and win decisively. Mighty 690, my Chargers, minus 4.5.
That one's just sneaky looking to me, too. I mean, I have a hard time putting anything on the Raiders.
Yeah.
But why is that line so long? I mean, I guess
all they're playing for is playoff. This ain't really.
Herbert might not play, he's hurt. He's banged up.
Oh, yeah, and has been all year.
The backup will play, and he'll play hard. And I'm convinced it's the same philosophy as Mike Tomlin is Jim Harbaugh. We're not coming here to lose. Like, the Lions coach last week. So who you liking, my friend?
Next up is a team that really showed me some heart last week. And that is a team that's very near and dear to your heart.
God. Yeah.
That is the New York Football Giants. The Football Giants, not that other team that shares that stadium. Not going anywhere near that game. I don't trust either one of those teams. If they could both lose, I think both the Dolphins and the Jets will lose. But this game, with Philly definitely resting a bunch of starters, and really they can't move up, down, sideways, anything like that. And the Giants playing for pride, taking the New York Football Giants plus 1.5 against the taking it easy Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you put your money there with Drew Lock, who had a career game last week. He's still, what's he have? 5 TDs, 4 interceptions for the season. 4 of his TVs were last week. I would love to, support your pick, Dave, but the Bluey, even though the Blue is gonna, they lose, they're gonna my preseason pick for over under. I'm gonna win that, but not with a smile on my face. All right, I'll give that to you. And a team that really disappointed you last week that, I had to laugh. The 49ers are going to play the spoiler. They're getting 4.5. They're playing the ex-St. Louis onto Arizona Cardinals. This is a team that flip a coin. Yeah. Both teams flip a coin and see what team shows up, because they've looked terrible and look good. 6-10 against 7-9. I'll take the 4.5. I think the 49ers, want to go in there and kick these guys' ass. They're embarrassed. They should be. They played terribly last week. They gave that game away. Purdy looked fantastic and then folded, looking like the draft pick that he was and is. So, but I will take the 49ers against a very, unpredictable Cardinal team. And I think they just got enough. I'll take the 4.5 for sure. I think the 49ers can win this game. But if not, they'll only lose by a couple points, maybe a field goal. San Francisco 49ers covering against the Cardinals. I'll take the 4.5.
All right. We only got a few minutes left here. Watch your clock. I'm going to look at another game with a team that's locked in to their spot, playing on the road last week of the season. They just want to get out healthy. They're playing a team that practically beat them in their own backyard just a couple of weeks ago. I'm taking the New England Patriots plus 3.5 against the Buffalo Bills. I'm just thinking they were doing a lot of things right just recently, and Buffalo was fortunate to win that game. I think this is the kind of thing where it's more or less a scrimmage. Guys on New England playing for their jobs for next year. And I'm going to take New England at home plus 3.5 against Buffalo. You're up. Well, do you have good thoughts on that game?
No, well, I don't.
Okay.
I'm hoping for the best for your Patriots, but I'm going on the left coast, just down south of ways. Same philosophy. I'll take the Scrubbinis from the Rams over your top players for the Seahawks. Reds are in. Seahawks have played for their life. Yeah, I'll give me 6.5 against Seahawks any day. That team has crucified me in my Dave and Dave picks. So I got the LA Rams. Give me 6.5 any day again at home against Seattle. Even though Seattle's 6-1 away, incredibly. But not against the Rams. Even their backups are going to win. Sean McVay will have these guys playing. Same coaching philosophy as we met.
So did you leave the big game for your last pick?
No. I got KC plus 10.5. That's my last pick. And you're going to give me 10.5 points? I'll take it. But you go ahead with the big game. I know that means most. I know you're a part of the guy.
I've been beating my head against the wall all season long going against the Minnesota Vikings. So now they finally fall into my kind of category where everybody's taking the other team. So I'm telling you, I see Sam Darnold play in these games in recent weeks, and I don't even recognize the guy. It does not look like the same person who played for the Jets, who looked completely lost out there. And then he was given another shot with the Panthers. Didn't quite work out for him there either. They moved on. But boy, it seems to be clicking with this team. I mean, he's so decisive, and these balls are on the money. And you put the Vikings into a bad situation, a 3rd and long and whatnot, and they just pick them up. They just pick them up because they don't just have the one receiver. They have multiple receivers they can go to. They have a good tight end. They got a ton of weapons, and it's helping out my boy Sam. So Sam, I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings +3 against the Detroit Lions. I think those injuries are still having a little bit of impact on Detroit. I think Minnesota's going to be able to score some points. So if they can hold Detroit down, which I believe their defense is capable of doing that, I like Minnesota +3 against Detroit.
The ex-Jets factor.